All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started with our Monday, August 11th, 2025 regular city commission meeting starting at 6 o'clock. Quick announcements before Pledge of Allegiance. We are missing a commissioner, Sarola. He's out this evening. And then Emily, I think you wanted to talk about the forum.
Yes, thank you. For those of you who are here in person, we have a city commission public comment form that is in the back of the room. This is a new addition that we just rolled out in our last meeting 2 weeks ago. This is a form that we ask everyone to fill out before coming up to make public comment. It is not required, but it is certainly encouraged. If you could leave your name, phone number, and email address, it will help us follow up with you to make sure we fully understand your comment and make sure that we can follow up on your comment and get you an answer on your comment. So it's very helpful making sure that we, are able to work with you and respond to what you're looking for. So please grab that. You can drop it off with Abby when you come up to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, now we'll move to approval of the agenda. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I support. All right, Abby, call the roll.
Mayor Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Binkley?
Yes.
Commissioner Overy?
Yes.
Commissioner Fernandez?
Yes.
All right, on to public comment. This is for items that are on the consent agenda or items not on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Come to the podium and state your name and address.
Jack Sanderson, 804 Lake Lane. And I haven't filled out your form. I'm not gonna. On July 14th, I came and complained a little bit to the city about some of the things that hadn't got done below the bluff. And I think it's fair when you come and complain, when you see things happen, you ought to come and say thank you. And so I would like to say that the street sand was removed. Well, I understand some people thought the process was a little loud and it scared the hell out of me. I'll admit that. But nevertheless, it's better to have it off than on. In the sidewalk, sand removal of the falling tree on 2nd Street, the repair of the excavation hole in Market and Vine was at least temporarily fixed. And all of that was within a week. And that is wonderful response. And we thank Greg. Wake up, Greg. Thank you very much. Yeah. And we still have some other things to do, but I'll talk to him about those privately. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other public comment? All right, seeing none, we will move along to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda include meeting minutes of July 28, 2025, invoice and tax disbursements, St. Joseph Housing Commission monthly update, special event application Fall Fest, special event application Pumpkin Raffle, special event application Cub Scout Popcorn Sale, Island Point Marina Condo Association dredging agreement, and Chalk the Block special event approval amendment. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I support.
Okay, Abby, call the roll.
Commissioner Binkley?
Yes.
Commissioner Overy?
Yes.
Commissioner Fernandez?
Yes.
Mayor Thomas?
Yes. All right, on to old business. We've got 2929 Lakeshore Drive, Clark Logistics Group, LVI map amendment, C Commercial Business District to R3, multiple family residence district, second and final reading.
So the property is 1.57 acres in size, and the applicant is requesting that it be rezoned from C Commercial Business District to R3 multiple family to allow for future residential uses on the property. During your last meeting on July 28th, the City Commission did recommend approve the first reading of the ordinance. So this is just the second reading of the ordinance. The applicant is here if there's any questions of him.
Okay, thank you. And again, last time we did approve this. So any other questions, comments?
Nothing has changed, just not take the opportunity to reiterate how important this type of rezoning can be. We're converting essentially a parking lot that is not adding any value to our community and allowing that to become more housing for more residents and more families to come join what we have and what we are building here in St. Joseph. So thank you, Kristen, for preparing the rezoning. And
Okay, you want to make a motion?
I move to approve the second and final reading of an ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment rezoning request by Clark Logistics Group 4 LLC for the property known as 2929 Lakeshore Drive from the C Commercial Business District to R3 Multiple Family Residence District based on the information included in the July 9, 2025 Planning Commission as the request meets the required standards under section 22.3 of the zoning ordinance.
Support. Any public comment on the matter? Great. Abby, call the roll.
Commissioner Ulrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Big yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Binkley.
Yes. Thank you. All right, next item is 5-year Parks and Recreation Master Plan update.
So I will kick this one off and then Kayla Griffith is going to jump in. As I think the commission is aware, in the July 28th commission meeting, staff presented the Parks Board's recommendation to move forward with a contract with Edgewater Resources for the 5-year Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which was $28,500. The commission challenged staff to take a look at whether we could tackle some or all of that work in-house. And so Kayla and Greg and I have put our heads together to figure out what that might look like. And Kayla's got an update.
Yes, so thank you for your time, Commission. I've taken a look at the plan alongside Greg and Emily, and we've determined that the majority of the plan updates will be able to do in-house. There are a couple things that I would really recommend bringing an expert in on, as I'm not a parks expert. So bringing Edgewater in just a little bit to help me with evaluating the parks in the walkthrough, to see them through the eyes of an expert who has that legal familiarity with what the department is looking for, as well as other requirements, is something that I think would be in the city's best interest to have supplemented. I've taken a look at the process as well. We can begin to kick off public input, surveying, going out and getting feedback within the next couple of weeks. That'll give us plenty of time to draft and then have the 30-day public input period. We also have reached out to the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, and they are super eager to help us with any areas that we need their expertise.
Oh, very good.
Good thinking.
Questions from the commission?
No, I appreciate you guys looking creatively at this. I mean, we have a great team here at the city, and so I'm glad that you guys will be able to take ownership of this project.
Thank you for putting this together. And, importantly, this keeps us on track to be able to meet the deadlines needed to be able to apply for future grant funding and some other deadlines we have coming up over the next few months. So thank you in advance.
I'll just add, I mean, first of all, yay, Kayla. Having a director of communications and special projects is fabulous, and she's been able to step in on a number of things like this, and it's so valuable for the city. The other piece is, of course, we've reduced the scope of work for Edgewater. We don't have a dollar value yet for that work. Correct me if I'm wrong. We don't have a dollar value yet. So nothing is final. It was at $28,500. We expect it to come down fairly significantly. If it is needed, it will come back to the commission. But my hope is it'll be low enough that that won't be needed. It's already in the budget. So we'll continue to work with them to negotiate on that scope of work and on that dollar value.
From a city staff perspective, we would be owning kind of the input. So we'd be putting together the survey, we'd be doing the data analysis. So that would take on a large portion of the administrative work.
And if you have questions, you need consulting kind of brain work, can you go to Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, or who would you go to if you had questions?
Yeah, I think it depends on where exactly we would need that, what area of expertise we're needing to
Mhm.
pull in, right? Southwestern Michigan Planning Commission is going to be great on helping to parse the feedback, interpret the data between our multiple stakeholders. So I think they'll be a great resource. Where I think Edgewater is most useful to be brought in is just that technical
Mhm.
park specific or environmental aspect.
Great. Well, I'll echo the sentiments here. Thank you for everyone's hard work on getting creative with the solution. And I don't believe this has an action item. It's just an update, correct? Okay. Anything further from the commission? Nope.
No, thank you,
All right.
Kayla.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Greg.
All right, on to new business. We have north intake cleaning.
Good evening.
Sorry.
We have a video presentation here. Okay, so north intake cleaning and maintenance for 2025. Emily, if you'd advance to the next slide. So this is an overhead photographic depiction of the St. Joseph Water Plant on the shore there and the intakes. So the south intake was built in 1955 and served as a sole intake for the plant until 2011 when the north intake on your left in the photograph was built. And the north intake was built to meet increasing water demands, and then it also provides better water quality being farther out in the lake. So the north intake's about 3 times farther out. It is the primary intake. The south is only used for emergency backup, or if we have frazzle ice in the north, we can use the south as a source. And then during maintenance work on the north, when we have divers in the pipe, we can't have any flow going through that pipe, so we run on the south intake. This year in July, we had both intakes inspected. The south isn't used that much, so it's in pretty good shape. The north intake, we get sand and we clean sand out every year, every other year. And this year, the inspections that the divers did in early July found that on the north intake, you can see the 2 beige dots there. Those are the south branch and the north branch. That the south branch was almost 80% blocked, and it wasn't allowing really any water in. And all the water was going through the south branch into the main intake line. And our concern was that that sand, given the higher velocity, would be driven further into the main trunk line. So at that time, we sought proposals from UCC of Stevensville to number 1, clean the intake structures and the connecting Y, that's that branch. They furnish a quote for $26,980 to do that work. And then also number 2, to go into that main line, which we haven't done since 2018. And this year to go to the kind of crooked, uneven line in the center there, to go that far into the pipe and stop. And then next year to go from the blue dot, which is the emergency riser. And that's an access point for divers to get into the pipe midway in the pipe, really more like 2/3 of the way out. It's called an emergency riser because it could also serve as a water source if the intakes were totally blocked. So they also furnished a second quote to do that work, and that included boat time, diver penetration pay, and I think that quote was in the nature of $105,520. Let's advance to the next slide. And this is a lateral view that shows that intake pipe. The dotted line on the top, the two dotted lines are basically the lake surface, and the big numbers, 580, is basically just the elevation above sea level. And then down at the bottom, you can see a depiction of the pipe, which is slightly shaded. And then on the far left, the intake structures, which are cone-shaped. And that first branch is not very long. It's only 70-foot legs, those 2 legs on the pipe. And then the main trunk coming up. And then the 2 vertical lime green lines show the scope of work for this year to go that far into the pipe and to stop. And then you can see on the far right, the emergency riser. Next year, they would attack it from that direction and go to the left and meet where they left off this year. So going to the next slide. These are the structures just before they were installed. That's what they look like. Most of the structures are buried up until about that horizontal seam line halfway up the conical structure there. The water comes in on the sides, those wooden slats up on the top there, on the sides actually. And then the hatches in the picture are open, so it's not as if the water comes in from the top. Those are normally closed. The 48-inch pipe, that's where it connects to the branches, and then to the main line. So those structures are about 150 feet apart, connected by 70-foot branch lines to the main trunk line. So the first quote includes cleaning zebra mussels from those structures, cleaning the sand from the structures, and then getting into the branches and cleaning that. Let's go on to the next slide. This photograph is 155 meters or roughly 470 feet inside the pipe from the intake structure. That's the main trunk line. That's showing the sand on the bottom, and that's what we're concerned about that needs to be removed. So not nearly as high as it is in that branch line farther out, but nonetheless should be removed so that it doesn't migrate any farther up the pipe. One point I want to make is that we'd like to get this sand out of there from the structures to the emergency riser. The emergency riser is 3,000 feet out. The divers can only go in about 750 feet in pipe before the hydraulics don't work and they can't draw out sand. The inspection showed that 3,000 feet looked pretty good, but we don't want the sand to get any farther into that pipe. Hence the reason why we're attacking this now. So this is what it looks like on the bottom of the pipe. It's a 48-inch pipe. And let's go to the next slide. And these are the invasive species that grow on the structures, that grow on the pipe on the inside. And they like to grow on the structures because they feed on the phytoplankton as the water plant draws it in with the water. So let's go to the next slide. And you can see that this is a diver that's grasping what was a smooth plastic chlorine feed line, black in color, not anymore. That's what zebra mussels look like. And those have to be cleaned off as well. So those are power washed off at very high pressure, and the sand is pumped out. So two different operations there. Let's go to the next slide. And just to give you a little historical perspective, this is when the pipe was installed 15 years ago. That's what it looks like. And the next slide, they had to basically build an artificial peninsula about 250 feet out and lay the pipe in the dry. And then the next slide, they removed that, let the lake take over, and then this barge was able to locate that pipe, uncap it, and then they laid it, next slide please, from their aqueous underwater. So with the assistance of divers, and you can see that barge on the left that's digging a trench, and the barge on the right is laying pipe. So that was the operation. Let's go to the next slide. So we're seeking your approval for these two proposals from Underwater Construction to clean the intake structures, remove the sand in the Y, and then go into the main trunk line, not to exceed $132,500, and to amend the fiscal year 26 water fund budget by that amount, by $132,500, to cover the increase in the water treatment cost center of 591,900.005. Thank you. Any questions?
So a few, because it's complicated. So the last time it was 2022.
Yes, late in 2022, like December.
So will we have to do this like every 3 years?
Or more often, we get considerable sand in the intake structures in the Y. It doesn't really migrate any farther if we clean it in the Y. So in the past 15 years, we've done it every year, every other year. It varies, and we haven't inspected every year, and it depends on the findings of that inspection.
And obviously this is going on all over Lake Michigan. Nobody's figured out how to keep those mussels from attaching or the
It's been an issue since about 1990.
Yeah.
Is there any preventative work that can be done for either the sand or the mussels?
In terms of the mussels, we do feed chlorine out at the intake structure. So that controls the growth on the inside of the pipe because they do not survive with chlorine feed. And we only have to do that like a month out of the year. And then it prevents them from laying eggs, producing the veligers, I think they're called, or the juvenile organisms, and then attaching onto the pipe. The sand, in terms of that, we're looking at commissioning a study where can those structures be redesigned, where that sand infiltration can be reduced, either increasing the elevation off the lake bottom, or maybe changing the structures themselves in terms of how they gather water. Maybe it should be through the top instead of through the sides. So we've got the budget to commission a study to do that.
So I'm curious if this is something that we kind of expect every 3 years or so, and this was not in the budget. Was this like a surprise event, or how is it coming
We
up
had
now?
budgeted maintenance cleaning this year, so basically that first portion of the Y, that money we had budgeted in 930 repairs and maintenance. So we're just basically covering the additional cost and being conservative in terms of the budget amendment.
Greg, I don't want to speak for you. You're clearly the expert on this, but I think my understanding from talking about this is that we look at this every year, and for whatever reason, this year, there was a lot more than we expected. And from time to time, that can happen. I know we've spoken to Tim about it as well. It could have been a storm that sort of hit in just the right way. We don't exactly know the explanation for why this year, when we looked at it, it was worse than the routine review we saw in previous years. And so I think what we budgeted for was what you would expect more routinely. And for whatever reason, this year was worse. Is that fair?
Correct.
So it's
And-
an unknown. It might not be this worse 3 years from now.
Correct.
And I think you said there was something in your write-up about in the last 14 or 15 years. We haven't seen something like this for 14 or 15 years. Do I have that right?
Yeah, 18 was a little bit on the higher side, but not a blockage
Mhm.
ever.
This is
So-
considered a blockage, 80%, yeah.
And we've had the divers out there cleaning and the blockage has been cleared. They found a lot of sticks and type of physical matter, which may have caused the blockage and caused the buildup that they haven't seen before. And it was very hard packed. So that's kind of anecdotally what we're finding thus far. That might be it. It might be the storm events. It's hard to say.
It could have been the dredging. That was another thought we had, if something was done differently with dredging this year. So I think that's something we can keep an eye on going forward to see if we can pinpoint what could be
Why?
contributing and if there are improvements we can make. But right now, like you said, Michelle, it's a bit of an unknown why this year was different than in the past.
This is
But
the-
nonetheless, we need to take care of it.
Nonetheless, we need to clear it.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is where we get our water. So it's, you don't want to let that sand reach past a certain point. Also there's some work being done around the coastal shoreline, preservation, and there might be different things that get tried. We had received, information last year about different things they might try in future years on dredging and stuff. So that could play a factor in, a good opportunity to stay connected with them, find out how that and measure, collecting data to see how one affects the other. But like Michelle said, this is the type of thing that's going to happen when you're getting your water from the lake. Sand is in there and we got to clean it. So
Yeah.
asset management is unfortunately expensive.
Yeah. And the dredging this year, I don't mean to sound any alarms, was meant to be the same as dredging in previous years.
Yep.
It's next year that they had talked about maybe changing it. That doesn't mean it didn't hit at a time when the water was moving in a certain way again, I'm not the expert, but
We have explored that too and talked to, what are they called? Oceanography, physical lake experts on the subject. And the lake is dynamic up to about 1,500 feet out. We used to have issues 20 years ago with the old intake where there was a blockage. I think it was 2004. This intake is 3 times farther out than that. So we've heard from a couple different experts that the sand just doesn't move out there like it does near shore. And then it's not it's not affected by dredging, according to what they say.
Okay.
Have we heard that any other communities have dealt with a similar issue this year?
I have not. Historically, I think Michigan City had problems from my recollection 20-some years ago, and I think they had to build like a new intake or extend a branch. That's what kind of my experience.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if other communities around have, experienced the same thing, or if they have other ideas, or if they know of an event that caused this. Just, I'd hate for, we have no idea what's causing it, and then next year we have the exact same problem that we have to fix for another $100-some thousand, but.
And mind you, we will budget for next year to do that remaining part of the pipes, so we will be back before you next year for that.
Looking at it, yeah.
So,
This is a two-stage cleaning.
yes, in fiscal year 27.
Okay.
Let me interject real quick. The fund's in real good shape. If you remember, we had a surplus of about 120 or 131,000. So this will effectively use that surplus. We're good.
Yeah.
fund-wise.
Thanks, Ben.
Other questions?
No.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I move to authorize for underwater construction to, is this one from the oh, there it went away. Okay, I'll
Oh,
go from
I'm
here.
sorry.
That's okay. I move to approve the proposal from Underwater Construction Company of Stevensville, Michigan for the cleaning of the north intake in an amount not to exceed $132,500 and to amend the fiscal year 26 water fund budget by $132,500 to cover the increase in the water treatment cost center 591-900.005 WTP north intake cleaning.
Support.
Any public comment on the matter? Okay, Abby, call the roll.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Binkley.
Yes.
Commissioner Overy.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Greg, for always explaining all that
Mm-hmm.
interesting stuff to everybody.
Next item, we have purchase of crack seal machine.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and give a brief overview on road asset management as suggested by Mayor Thomas. This is in support of Greg Grauhouse's request to purchase a crack sealing machine. So this is just background, and then Greg's going, oh, there he is. Okay. So the slide you see here is from the 2017 the SAW grant that we did, and that was a stormwater asset management and wastewater grant. And that was in order to complete our first ever asset management plan for infrastructure in the right of way. So that included sanitary sewer to convey wastewater, water mains to distribute the safe drinking water to our customers, as well as streets and sewers. Streets and sewers are drawn from the same fund, and that'll be our focus on roads tonight. One of the points that we made continuously since 2007 is that it is much easier to keep a good road good, much more cost effective by applying treatments to it than to reconstruct a road. The numbers you're about to see are going to really bear that out. Reconstructing a road requires the pavement to be removed, and then we actually have to undercut the soils. We have a lot of clay soils in the city. When they built the old concrete roads, they really didn't put a lot of gravel or anything. They just built it right on the clay. You can get away with that with concrete because it's a rigid pavement, but we've moved to asphalt pavement, which is a flexible pavement, which really requires your road base to be strong. So you have to put in 12 inches of sand subbase, 8 inches of aggregate base. That's a combination of sand and gravel. And then our typical road section has 4 inches of asphalt on top of that, placed in 2 lifts. So if you could go to the next slide. So this has a little graphic that just shows it costs a lot less to maintain the surface of the road than reconstruct the entire roadway section. So what I did is I went through and I put together some costs from recent reconstruction projects. I did throw in the 2015 Botham Avenue reconstruction project because that's the east side of Niles Avenue. And we just started reconstructing the west side of Niles Avenue. You can see over that time frame that the road costs have more than doubled in cost. Now, there's a lot of factors involved with that. You can see it's a fairly short length this year, and when you have a longer project, you generally get a little bit more of economies of scale and such. However, inflation is a factor. I don't expect anyone to be able to read that lower table. I just put it in there to show there's other costs. When we rip up a road, we do replace the sanitary sewer and the water main. As long as we have the surface removed, it's a lot more cost effective. You don't want utilities breaking within a few years of when you just rebuilt a road. Over to the right, you see some text. It's green on the upper parts and it's red below. Basically, we estimate projects, and the engineer's estimate, we always target to be a little above where we expect the bids to come in. But construction inflation has been such that in the later years, the projects just keep coming in over, even when we apply an inflation factor. So it's been a real challenge for us and our consulting engineers. Reconstruction project, the road is designed to last for 20 years. That's if you don't do any treatment to it. It'll fail after 20 years. And obviously, we don't want to handle it that way. That's not good asset management. So the next slide, please. So this is a list of projects that we've done. It's like road rehabilitation and preventive maintenance projects. So it includes resurfacing and cape seal projects that give you about an 8 to 10 year life, and fog and crack seal projects that are about 3 years. Now, we designed these in-house, and we also did the construction admin in-house. So we bid it out, we hire a contractor, we oversee it. You can see that the cost there, when I blend these different types of projects, it's only about $138,000 per mile versus the last slide showed that was more like 4.4 million on average. Just, I mean, it's a fairly small sample, but that's what we've seen in road cost. So next slide, please. If I just do the fog seal and crack seal, again, it gives you about a 3-year return period. It's only about $10,000 for the cost per mile, but it doesn't replace the heavier treatments. As the pavement gets older, you have to do more involved O&M or rehabilitation type of work on it. And the next slide will show how that works. This is a pavement deterioration curve. So the y-axis there is a PACER scale. It's a pavement surface evaluation rating. It is subjective. They're rated 0 to 10, but the people that do it do have to go through certification. So it makes it more consistent, but it's still not perfect. But what I'm trying to show you here is what you really want to see is kind of a sawtooth curve on your road. So back in around 2004, you could see that Lake Boulevard over that section was really failing. 4 is considered your critical distress point. So we rebuilt it. It really brought it up to a 10, but depending on the timing of when you do your ratings and stuff and how the curve. But by any means, you can see in 2017, we applied a mill and overlay. And so that brought it up to about an 8. And then in 2023, we applied a fog and crack seal that brought it back up to, I think that's a 7 or a 6. Again, we're trying to push that critical distress point out into the future. Now, the asphalt people will tell you that asphalt's a perpetual pavement. Once you put it down, if you do the treatments, it will just last forever. Well, I don't think it's quite that optimistic, but the concept works. You can extend out pavement life by applying the right treatment at the right time. And then the next slide, please. So this is an example of what not to do. This is Botham Avenue that we're reconstructing. And you can see that it's just a curve with a bunch of points because we did no maintenance on it. So it actually shows that we reached a critical distress point around 2013. Again, the subjective nature of the PACER system really shows there. You can see it bounces around those little dots or squares. Those were ratings by people that are certified to do the rating. However, the truth of the matter is this pavement's really was, because it's mostly removed now, was at about a 4. And it was, we were just on borrowed time. That's all there is to it. So unfortunately, a lot of our streets in the city are that way. And we're lucky that they've been doing okay, but we're going to need to reconstruct them. And obviously, once we reconstruct a road, it's really good or really important to keep those good roads good, Costs a lot less money to do that, so that we can get around to prioritize and reconstruct roads. We're behind the 8 ball on that, obviously, so. And with that, unless there are any questions, I'm going to turn it over to Greg so he can talk about why Public Works wants to take over the crack sealing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, as Tim already stated, part of asset management and a lot of the discussions and stuff that we've had, the goal is to keep your good streets good. And one of those activities is a regular crack seal program. So the Public Works Department would like to purchase a crack seal machine so that we can be on a regular rotation of doing crack seal. Currently, we do it about every 3 years, and we do that under a contract. So we would intend to do it every year, especially on our newer streets that have been reconstructed or we've done a mill and resurface on recently. So with that, staff investigated some crack seal machines. We landed on a machine by Simline, which is represented by Alta Equipment in Michigan, who is also the MyDeal contract holder for this type of equipment. Worked with Alta to schedule a demo. We were very pleased with the demo of the Simline machine and would ask that the City Commission consider a motion to approve the purchase price of the Simline crack seal machine through the MyDeal contract of $76,492.45. Should be noted that this purchase is under budget. It was budgeted at $80,000, so we're just under that number. Any questions?
Do we know how long they usually last?
The machine?
Yeah.
I mean, with proper maintenance, I mean, 20 years, 25 years. I mean, now you're putting in a rubber tar mix that is the crack seal component. So, I mean, it's not the most friendliest material to the machine, but as long as you do the maintenance and they have a cycle that you have to do when you finish using it to like clean it out. And as long as you do that regular maintenance, it'll last a long time.
Not to mention the ability to extend the life of our good streets and keep them, better.
Correct.
We just talked about asset management and how expensive it is in the last, agenda item. And this allows us to protect those investments better and make those things last longer, get more out of your money. So this is a worthy investment, in my opinion.
Nope, I agree.
Well, and thank you, Tim, for that presentation. I asked for it, but I always learn something every time you present on it. So it's really helpful. I had a resident say, I think it was a crack seal or something that was done on a road. And I said, why are they wasting our tax dollars on this kind of stuff? And it's important to know how this is saving tax dollars because it is keeping the good roads good and making them last longer. I liken it to getting an oil change on my car. If you don't do that, you're gonna be buying a new car every so often, and it's cheaper to do the maintenance than buying a new car. So I appreciate your work on this. I don't have any other questions in this.
No,
No?
nope, thank you.
I move to approve the purchase of a Simline M2DH crack seal machine from Alta Equipment of Byron Center, Michigan in the amount of $76,492.45 and authorize the city manager to execute the appropriate documents on behalf of the city.
I support.
Any public comment on the matter? All right, may I be called the roll?
Mayor Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Binkley,
Yes.
Commissioner Olbrey,
Yes.
Commissioner Fernandez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, next item is budget amendment, SCIP Phase 2 project.
When we were talking about the budget amendments for last year, back in June, I mentioned that we may have to have the project budget for the clarifier project extended into this year. So that's exactly what we're asking for now. We have about $580,000 left in last year's budget because the project spilled into this year. We're asking to increase this current year budget by $453,200-ish. So that's what we're asking for with this agenda item. Just extending the project into this year.
And maybe just for everyone's knowledge, just a real quick overview of the project
yeah.
that you're referring to. Mhm.
So the project is largely, I would say, on the order of 98% complete, and they were way ahead of schedule back during the budgeting process.
Craig,
and
what is the
they're about-
project?
They're about on schedule. So they have architectural improvements to do. They have painting that cannot be done when the water plant is so moist during this, with the high humidity during the summer. So we're gonna defer that to the fall. There's also some SCADA and instrumentation work that has yet to be done. So that's basically where we are. The full project amount was 17.492, and this is of that amount, $453,104.05.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions?
Wait, when did you say it should be done by? Oh,
Substantial completion September 5th. I'm thinking some of that painting might be a little later than that, depending on the humidity level in the plant. But certainly by the end of October is the final completion.
So we had put all of the remaining funding in last fiscal year's budget with sort of the hopeful optimism that we might finish last fiscal year. We didn't quite make it, so now we just need to roll that remainder back over.
And we were being really conservative last year. In the event that they did finish by June 30, we wanted to have the money in that budget. So we're careful about how we budgeted last year. So that didn't happen, and now it's spilling into this year.
and we knew, I mean, you told us that it might, so,
It's actually less.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
Great. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I move to approve this fiscal year 2025-2026 budget amendment as presented.
Support.
Any public comment on the matter? If you wouldn't mind, we have, yeah, name and address so that we have people maybe listening in online.
There's 5 of them, that's all.
Oh, good, yeah, we got people.
Ryan Kadowich, 2307 Morton. Are you actually adding to the budget? Or you just
Yes, we're adding to this year's budget using unspent money.
from last year? That's what I was looking for.
Thank you.
Basically the same amount?
That's actually less.
Less.
Other public comment? All right, Abby, call the roll.
Commissioner Binkley,
Yes.
Commissioner Olry,
Yes.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. All right, last item, we've got a report out on the Marquette and upcoming open house. Is that you?
That's me.
Okay.
I just wanted to share, as I'm sure most folks know, the Rinks Group is looking at doing a development in the downtown. Their project is called the Marquette. It is proposed on Lake Boulevard. And they are hosting a public open house next Thursday?
It's 20, yeah.
Oh, geez. Next Thursday, August 21st at 5:30 PM to discuss the proposed project. It is not here in the write-up, but I just want to add that the location is not here at City Hall. The location is at the library. This is not affiliated with the city, but they are looking for an opportunity to talk to the public and share more information about the project. So that will be hosted at the library, August 21st, 5:30 PM.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the commission? This is our last item before moving on to comments. No? All right, city manager comments.
Oh, gosh. I don't think I have much. We have a great team. I'm really appreciative of them. Jack, I appreciated your comments and I share the kudos with Greg and his team who have really hustled and addressed so many things below the bluff. So appreciate their work on that.
Wonderful. Commission comments.
Last week I went to Splash Day at Milton Park, and I wanted to, I had a chance to thank Steve for this earlier and give him this feedback, but Public Safety Officer Bursma gave me a kind of showcase of the fire trucks and the equipment that they had there splashing the kids. It was a really nice time having that, but also very educational for me to see the equipment up close. And it's really great equipment that that we have our firefighting team equipped with. So, and then also just to give a brief update, Michelle and I have been doing the DDA interviews today and tomorrow. I am pleased to see the talent that we have and people that are interested in serving their community. So anybody else that's interested in serving on any other boards, please get a hold of our awesome clerk Bishop over there, who did a wonderful job setting up all of those interviews for us. They're going quite well, and Michelle and I look forward to bringing you, some new appointees at a future commission meeting.
I'm good. Nothing. All right. I guess the only other thing is we had a successful Chalk the Block event Paul, thank you for you and your team putting that on. It seemed like we had a ton of people out. The streets were packed. The artists were fantastic.
And they haven't washed away.
No rain. And this year was the first time we had kind of the 3D art, correct? Oh, okay, great.
And
Well-
I'm glad those will be up longer.
Yes.
Mhm.
I know that was part of our consent agenda, but I think that's really cool. The more that we can offer like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Fall Fest
cool.
is,
Thank you.
20th.
It's the third weekend.
Third
It's always the
weekend,
third
September.
weekend, yes.
all right. I guess that is it for today. So we will end the meeting at 6:45 PM.